Hey everyone, Matron here, bringing you another Starcraft 2 commentary. This time a best of 5 series between Root Drewbie, spawning as the Red Terran, and Inflow Mini, now Root Mini, spawning as the Teal Protoss. This is part of a best of 5 between these two now teammates for $50, and this is a show match which was put together by GhostWhoTrolling.com. It was live cast, but there are no VODs, so I figured for anybody that did miss that match, I think it was about a week ago, you can check out this series now. I wanted to cast it as we have two very good players. I have cast a number of mini games, and these two played a rather long game that I cast about 50 minutes on Lost Temple, and they got into a very large macro game. It's pretty interesting with mothership carriers, and Drewbie went down in this one. So I guess hoping for his revenge and hoping to put his new teammate sort of in his place and establish some sort of pecking order in Root. Mini is often played by the Root team members. You can watch Katz's stream, and Drewbie has a stream as well. So you can see these players have played Mini before, and they've often commented that Mini actually only has 1 or 2 builds versus each of the races. He is very effective with them, and the one build he likes versus Terran is a 1-gate fast expand, getting into more of a macro game with Terran, and trying to stay on the same number of bases, if not more, and then just punishing in the late game off of multiple gateways. So we'll see if Drewbie's able to use that information to try to defend against his new teammate here, and we'll see if he has any builds in mind to try to defeat that fast expand. Drewbie going for a gas and barracks timing, relatively standard at this point, and Inflow Mini getting down his first gateway. So we do have these near positions on this Metalopolis map, and it's close by air. Doubt we'll see air from either player, though Drewbie is pretty famous for his drops, so if it makes it into the mid game, we may see some drops from him. A gas steal from Mini at this point, so what that's going to be able to do is force his Terran opponent not only to spend a few Marines here just on this assimilator at the start, but it's also going to force Drewbie into a very set amount of builds. He can't go for Banshees, he can't go for too much factory tech at the very start. So Mini is going to know that his opponent is limited to just a few builds, and we'll see whether he's able to expand and execute a build here against the Terran. So if you're able to limit your opponent to just a few builds, then it makes it so you don't really have to tech up. He's not going to have to go for any sort of detection in the early going because he won't have to worry about Cloak Banshees. And he can just stay with basic gateway units for the most part and perhaps expand. It looks like he is getting out a few chrono boosted units. Again, in the early going, the Zealot and the Stalker is very powerful. It looks like he's pushing out and going to try to deny the scouting of this SCV. But Drewbie has seen that there's no second gateway down right now, and Mini is just producing off 1. We see that he's starting to get a few minerals saved up, at about 300, and pushing out to this watchtower. Mini does have the probe in the back of the base. Drewbie is going to find it with these 2 Marines, but they're not going to be able to take down the probe before Mini is able to see the 2 racks, the tech lab, and the reactor. He knows that the Marauder has that concussive shell done, and is now going to be moving out. And the combination of that concussive shell, along with the few units for the Terran player, going to give him the advantage in any sort of showdown with Stalkers. Marauder's so very good against those Stalkers, and against the Zealot with that concussive shell, able to kite them quite well as well. So it looks like Mini is getting down the fast expand, placing it down right now, but Drewbie putting on some pressure. He's also putting in a bunker right outside of this Nexus, and the Nexus and Mini do not have sight here. So this bunker is going to be finished, it looks like, as Mini's units are retreating up into the main, and he's going to want to try to snipe from this high ground, take a few pot shots, but he's going to be disappointed once he sees this bunker has completed. It looks like we have a number of SCVs coming for Drewbie as well, so he might be doing some sort of all-in, some delayed all-in with SCVs, Marines, and Marauders. He does have this bunker. If he can keep it repaired, it's going to be able to tackle these few units the Inflow Mini has. See Mini getting down 2 more gates, so we will be transitioning to a 4-gate, and we see the probes being pulled off the line to try to combat those SCVs. SCVs providing a lot of extra firepower. They only attack for the 5 damage, but when you have this many SCVs, they're also able to repair the bunkers. Very powerful offensive units. Looks like we have a robotics facility going down as well. One of those gateways was in fact canceled, so Inflow Mini, or now Root Mini, going to be transitioning from losing his entire expansion there into a 3-gate robo build. And now we see Drewbie placing down 2 more bunkers, so going to make it nearly impossible for Inflow Mini to pop out of his base here. So very effective timing push by Drewbie there. He was able to take down that Nexus. Mini was not able to cancel it in time. It was up and running, and Drewbie did not show his hand, did not show the bunker, had almost perfect timing with that bunker right as the Nexus finished. It was not yet saturated, and Mini going to lose those 400 minerals, going to be up in his base. Drewbie laying down his own expansion, and now Mini's going to have to bust through these bunkers. He is getting up an Immortal, and that's quite the effective bunker buster. So if he's able to get down an Immortal, perhaps use these sentries to throw down some force fields, prevent any sort of repair on these bunkers. We do see that Drewbie has now pulled back his SCVs, going to be working on his economy. 30 harvesters to the 32. So Mini is doing okay. He's on 1 base. He's got a relatively standard 1 base build now with the robotics facility and the 3 gates, constantly producing off of all of these, but he's going to want to break out at some point. He's going to have to establish an expansion here if he wants to keep up with Drewbie. See, the second Immortal is about to finish, Chrono Boost being used on that. A scan coming from Drewbie, wants to see what his opponent has, and these Immortals going to have to make him shiver in his boots a little bit, as they do the bonus damage 50 to the bunkers. So 8 shots from those Immortals taking down the bunkers very quickly. Now we do see Mini pushing out, going to try to break both these bunkers. First bunker going down very quickly, and looks like those units are being focused down as well quite quickly. So Mini not taking too much damage here, taking down all those bunkers and all the units of Drewbie. And if we look at the army tab, 1875 to 450, most of the army of Drewbie was hunkered down in those bunkers, trying to keep the lid on the Protoss player. And now he's throwing up 3 bunkers to try to defend against this counter push. But again, Mini created these Immortals as those bunker busters, and he's going to be very effective busting these 3 down. Once he does choose to engage here, we see SCVs being pulled off the line, perhaps a little bit too early there, as Mini is not engaged. We see a proxy pylon going down as well, so going to be able to reinforce. Does not want to attack the bunkers head on in the front. He's going to attack from the top, so that the bottommost, southernmost bunker is not going to be able to attack his units right at the start. See a good few force fields there, going to deny any sort of repair on that sunken bunker, and by the time the SCVs get to this 3rd bunker, it looks like Mini is going to be able to get that down. Not too many units. Now SCVs attacking those Immortals. Once the Immortal shield goes down, they are susceptible to the surround from the SCVs, and they can go down. But Mini doing a good job kiting the low Immortal to the back and doing a lot of damage here. But it looks like Drewbie's going to be able to fend this off. A few more SCVs coming off, trying to focus down the Immortals. They do go down to the SCVs. And now some stimmed up Marines coming in, trying to focus down the last Immortal. But we see more and more units coming from the pylon for Root Mini. And now just coming into the base, it looks like he's going to have an 1100 army compared to the 300. Drewbie doing his best to stim up these Marines and kite away from the Zealots. Zealots do not have speed yet, so kiting going to be very effective, but he's got to keep on the move, wants to take down these units as he gives himself more time to stream units out of these barracks. But now the Stalker's coming in and focusing down those last few Marines. SCVs being pulled off in a last-ditch effort for Drewbie, but it looks like he's going to drop this first game to his teammate Root Mini, and the first game of this best-of-5 going to Mini there. So very interesting strategy against the well-known build of Mini. He does like that 1-gate fast expand against Terran, and Drewbie bringing a little bit of pressure. Most Terran are not going to attack before Stim finishes, which is why the Protoss player likes to go for that fast expand. There's a timing window in the 5 or 6 minute mark where you can get up that Nexus, and as long as you keep producing units off of the gateways, by the time the Stim Marines and Marauders arrive, you're able to fend it off, perhaps pulling off some probes. But Drewbie flipped the script a little bit, attacked before Stim had finished with just a few units, and was able to take down the Nexus with a nice bunker there. It was just out of line of sight of that Nexus, and we saw how he was able to contain his opponent. Then a great reaction by Mini, creating the robotics facility, canceling one of those gateways. Again, it would have been a waste of materials. You can't really produce off of one base on 4 gateways and a robotics. So got out the right unit comp, was able to bust those bunkers, and quickly counter and flood Drewbie's base with units. So a very exciting first game of this series. Go ahead and bring you game 2 now. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you there.